The horizon floated quietly in the blackness of space, its silver hull glinting faintly against distant stars. Humanity had built it with hope and pride, a symbol of their first real step beyond the Sol system, but tonight, hope felt fragile. The crew of 12 worked at their stations, double-checking calculations for the experimental warp drive that could, in theory, take them to other star systems in minutes instead of years. Captain Elena Ward stared at the main console, her brow furrowed, watching the numbers flicker. "Ready for jump?" she asked, her voice calm but tense. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Raj Patel, nodded, fingers hovering over the activation panel. The ship shivered as the warp drive hummed to life, and for a moment, space seemed to bend around them. Then, without warning, a flash of white light engulfed the ship, and the stars outside stretched into long streaks, faster and faster, until everything vanished. When the light faded, the crew looked out the windows, expecting to see familiar constellations, but instead, they saw a sky filled with colors they had never known, vast nebulae swirling in patterns like liquid fire. "Where are we?" muttered Engineer Carla Reyes, her hands gripping the console. The sensors were scrambled, unable to identify their location. They were not just in a new system, they were in territory completely unknown to human maps, deep within a part of the galaxy that no one had charted. That's when the alarms went off. Red lights flashed, and warning sirens echoed through the cabin. The main screen showed multiple massive ships appearing around them, shapes too large to be mistaken, moving with precision, like predators circling prey. "Unknown vessels, closing in fast," Patel said, voice tight. Elena took a deep breath, trying to hide the sudden spike of fear. Humanity had trained for exploration, for long journeys through empty space, but they had never trained for being trapped by a civilization far beyond their comprehension. The closest ship hailed them, a deep, mechanical voice booming in a language they did not understand. The translation software stuttered but finally produced words, "Identify yourselves. You are trespassing." Elena pressed the comm button. "This is the Horizon, a vessel of the United Earth Coalition. We come in peace. We mean no harm." Silence followed for a heartbeat, then the voice came again, colder and sharper. "Your species is primitive. You do not belong here." Panic rose among the crew, but they kept calm outwardly, knowing that showing fear would make things worse. The Horizon systems were scanned remotely, and every sensor, every tool, every piece of human technology was revealed to the alien ships. Elena realized with a sinking feeling that these beings were powerful, their technology far beyond anything humans had seen, even in dreams. She could see the vast armadas, the enormous starships that dwarfed their own, their hulls bristling with weapons that could obliterate entire planets. "We have to get out of here," Carla whispered, voice shaking, but even as she spoke, she knew the ship could not outrun them. The alien vessels were faster, smarter, and there was no place to hide. Then, unexpectedly, one of the ships detached from the formation and approached them, slowly, deliberately, as if studying them. The screen lit up with strange symbols, and the translation software worked again. "You will be boarded. Do not resist. Evaluation begins." Elena's stomach tightened. Being boarded meant they had no control, no leverage, and likely no chance of negotiation. Yet, she could also see opportunity. If humans were clever enough, if they could use their wits, maybe they could survive this encounter. The boarding party materialized inside the Horizon with a faint shimmer of light, and the crew held their breath. Figures emerged, tall, armored, their faces hidden behind reflective helmets, their bodies unlike anything human. They moved with precision, scanning, speaking in a language too fast to translate fully. The aliens were curious, not hostile yet, but their sheer size and presence radiated power. Elena stepped forward, her voice steady. "We are explorers. We wish no conflict. Please understand our position." The lead alien paused, tilting its head slightly. It made a sound that the translation software interpreted as, "Your kind survives. For now." Relief mixed with fear in the cabin, but there was no time to celebrate. Sensors indicated more Empire ships were incoming, fleets large enough to trap them completely. Elena knew they had to act, even if all options were risky. Raj suggested they study the alien tech immediately, anything they could learn to escape or survive. Carla worked frantically at the engineering console, analyzing power flows and shield systems, trying to understand the mechanics of ships that seemed centuries ahead of them. The crew moved like a single organism, combining fear with ingenuity, desperation with courage. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes, as they observed, learned, and planned. Every action had to be precise, every decision calculated. Then a new problem emerged. The alien systems began probing their minds, not with technology, but with some form of mental interface that made thoughts feel heavy, almost invasive. Elena felt a momentary panic. Her deepest fears and doubts surfaced, but she forced herself to focus. Humans had a strength aliens did not anticipate: creativity, unpredictability, the refusal to be crushed by fear. "Think like humans," she whispered to herself, a mantra against the pressure. A small breakthrough came when Carla discovered a minor flaw in the alien scanning algorithm. Something small, something human, something they could exploit. It was enough to give them a tiny advantage, a thread of hope. Elena called the crew together. "We survived the first contact. That's all that matters. Now we use our minds. We adapt. We survive. We are humanity." As the horizon continued to drift inside the Empire's sector, surrounded by massive warships and alien patrols, the crew knew one thing for certain: they were not just explorers anymore. They were players in a galaxy far larger than anything they had imagined, and every decision from now on could determine whether humans would become a footnote in history, or a legend. The stars outside seemed less like points of light and more like silent witnesses to humanity's courage, determination, and audacity. The accidental jump had thrown them into a place of danger, mystery, and unimaginable challenge, and yet, for the first time, the crew felt a strange exhilaration. They were small, yes, but clever, and cleverness had a power even the mightiest empire could underestimate. And so, the horizon floated, caught between the unknown and the inevitable, as humanity prepared for the first move in a game that could shake the galaxy. The alarm blared again. More ships were arriving, closing in faster than they could calculate. Elena gritted her teeth, tightened her grip on the command console, and whispered, almost to herself, "Let's see what humans can do." The screen blinked with the approaching vessels, and the horizon shuddered in anticipation. The adventure had begun. The horizon drifted cautiously among the alien fleet, its crew tense and alert. Every sensor flickered, every screen showed more of the massive ships surrounding them, shapes that were both beautiful and terrifying. Captain Elena Ward kept her eyes on the main console, trying to read the alien movements, but the patterns were strange, unlike anything humans had ever seen. Lieutenant Raj Patel monitored the communications, fingers hovering over the console, ready to respond to any signal. Suddenly, the main screen lit up with a new message, a series of symbols that flickered too fast to read at first. The translation system stuttered and finally delivered words in halting English: "You are not authorized. Explain purpose." Elena swallowed hard. "We are explorers from the United Earth Coalition. Our mission is peaceful. We seek knowledge and understanding." The response came immediately, faster and sharper: "Peaceful intent irrelevant. You trespass in Empire space." The crew exchanged nervous glances. Trespass was not a word humans had ever wanted to hear in the middle of an interstellar fleet. Raj whispered, "They are watching our every move. Any wrong step and—" Elena did not finish the sentence. The threat was clear enough. The horizon systems were scanned again, and alarms warned of data breaches. Every blueprint, every function, every detail of human technology was being observed and recorded. It was a terrifying feeling to be so completely transparent. Then a sudden decision came from the alien fleet. One of the massive ships detached and moved toward the horizon, slow and deliberate, its immense size dwarfing the human vessel. The boarding protocols began, and the crew braced themselves. They had trained for emergencies, for accidents, for mechanical failures, but they had never trained for this. The ship's airlock shimmered, and for the first time, the alien beings stepped aboard. They were tall, their bodies covered in armor that reflected light like liquid metal, their faces hidden behind helmets, their movements precise and almost unnatural. The crew could feel their power, their discipline, their superiority in every gesture. Elena stepped forward, trying to show confidence she did not feel. "Welcome," she said. "We hope to communicate and learn." The lead alien made a sound, which the translation system rendered as, "Observation permitted. Compliance required." The words were cold, devoid of warmth, but there was curiosity underneath, and that small curiosity gave the humans a thread of hope. As the aliens moved through the ship, the crew quickly realized that they were not only observing their actions but also subtly testing them. Each question, each instruction was meant to reveal character, intelligence, and possibly weaknesses. Engineer Carla Reyes noticed the aliens' scanning devices were not only technological but seemed to probe behavior and thought patterns, almost like reading emotions. She exchanged a glance with Raj, silently acknowledging the difficulty of the situation. "We need to show them we are clever," Carla whispered, her voice low. "They underestimate humans. That is our advantage." Elena nodded, formulating a plan in her mind. The first contact was not only about survival, it was a chance to make an impression, to demonstrate that humans were not as simple as they appeared. They started with small actions, subtle displays of logic, improvisation, and quick thinking. When an alien attempted to override the Horizon's security protocols, Raj redirected the system, not to fight but to adapt, showing an unexpected capability that even the aliens did not predict. The lead alien paused, its head tilting as if studying Raj with more interest. The atmosphere in the ship was tense, but the crew felt a growing sense of empowerment. They were learning the rhythm of these beings, the way they valued observation and intelligence over brute force in certain contexts. Elena decided to push the boundaries further. She invited the lead alien to observe a demonstration of human problem-solving, using the ship systems to simulate a complex scenario that even their advanced scanning could not immediately resolve. The aliens watched silently, their posture unchanging, but the flicker of movement in their helmeted faces hinted at curiosity. For the first time, the crew realized that the aliens were intrigued. Not by weapons, not by strength, but by cleverness, innovation, and adaptability. The realization brought a surge of hope. Yet, tension never left the horizon. Alarms continued to flash intermittently, warning of approaching fleets and unknown systems being monitored. Every second counted, and the crew had to remain vigilant. As hours passed, small victories accumulated. A minor technical issue arose in the alien scanning device, and Carla manipulated it subtly to give humans a slight advantage in privacy and control over the ship's interior systems. Elena seized the opportunity to strengthen their position without alerting the aliens to the interference. Meanwhile, Raj discovered a communication loophole, a small gap in the Empire's protocols that allowed the Horizon to transmit limited signals without immediate detection. Though it was risky, the crew realized this could be used to prepare for an eventual escape or to gather intelligence about the Empire. The aliens seemed aware of subtle human actions but tolerated them, observing and learning. The first contact became a delicate dance, a test of intellect, courage, and composure. The humans discovered something crucial. The Empire valued cunning and cleverness, perhaps more than strength. This was the key to survival, and possibly, to eventual influence. As the Horizon continued its uneasy coexistence with the alien visitors, Elena considered the bigger picture. Humans had made mistakes in the past, overestimating power or underestimating risk. Here, in the heart of the Empire, they had a chance to redefine what it meant to be human in the galaxy. They were small, yes, vulnerable, yes, but ingenuity and adaptability could turn a desperate situation into opportunity. Hours stretched, and the alien visitors eventually withdrew, leaving the Horizon with only partial control over its systems but with enough space for the crew to breathe, regroup, and strategize. The crew understood that survival depended not only on obedience but also on careful observation and calculated action. Elena addressed her team, voice steady but firm. "We are not just passengers here. We are observers, thinkers, and actors. Every small step we take matters. We survive with our minds, with our choices, with our courage. This is the first real test, and we have passed it." The Horizon floated in alien space, surrounded by warships, yet a spark of human determination glimmered in the control room. They were learning the Empire, understanding its patterns, and discovering weaknesses they could exploit. As the stars outside shimmered in unfamiliar constellations, the crew felt a mixture of fear and exhilaration. Humanity was small in the vastness of the galaxy, but cleverness had a power no alien could fully anticipate. The Horizon had survived the first contact, but the adventure was just beginning. The fleet outside was still a threat, their sensors still watching, yet the crew knew one truth. Humans had something the Empire did not expect: imagination, courage, and the ability to act unpredictably. And that would be their strength. With every passing moment, they prepared for the next move, knowing the galaxy would soon witness. The Horizon floated silently as it followed the Empire vessel into a massive docking bay, a space so large that the human crew could barely comprehend it. The walls gleamed with metals that reflected light in sharp angles, and alien machinery hummed and vibrated with energy that humans had no words for. Captain Elena Ward and her crew felt a mixture of fear and awe as the boarding ramp lowered, revealing corridors that stretched farther than the horizon itself. Lieutenant Raj Patel checked the sensors again, trying to understand the sheer scale of the Empire's technology, but the readings were overwhelming, almost useless. The crew stepped carefully, feeling the weight of every movement, aware that they were under constant observation. Aliens passed them, each unique in appearance, some tall and thin, some bulky, some with translucent skin that revealed glowing organs beneath. Each seemed perfectly at ease in their environment, a stark contrast to the humans who felt exposed and fragile. Elena led the way, knowing that any misstep could be disastrous, and yet feeling a strange thrill that they were seeing something no human had ever seen before. The Empire was not only vast but highly organized, with layers of security and hierarchy visible in the way the aliens moved and communicated. They were taken to a large observation chamber, walls of glass giving them a view of a massive city inside the ship, thousands of beings moving efficiently, tending machines, and managing operations that humans could not imagine. The aliens called this the core sector, the nerve center of their empire, and humans realized quickly how interconnected and precise it was. Captain Elena tried to hide her fascination while keeping the crew focused, reminding them that their safety depended on composure. Engineer Carla Reyes examined the alien technology as best she could, noting the energy conduits, the intricate systems, and the efficiency of their machines. Lieutenant Patel quietly recorded everything in a hidden log, knowing that even small details could become crucial for survival or escape. Then they were brought before the leaders of the Empire, a council of beings whose presence alone demanded attention. Tall, imposing, their voices resonated with authority, and their eyes seemed to see everything at once. Elena could feel the weight of judgment pressing down on the crew. One of the leaders spoke, words translated by the ship system: "You are primitive. Your technology is slow. Your minds are limited. And yet, you survive in a galaxy not meant for your kind." The words were sharp, but there was curiosity in them, a flicker of interest that humans recognized as an opportunity. The council asked questions, some simple, some complex, trying to gauge the intelligence, adaptability, and courage of humans. Elena answered carefully, showing humility but also cleverness, revealing enough to gain respect but never weakness. As the crew moved through the Empire ship, they observed not only technology but society. Different species coexisting, communicating, cooperating in ways humans had never imagined. Every corridor, every room, every machine had purpose, and the humans were struck by both beauty and efficiency. Then, during a routine scan of a corridor junction, Carla discovered a small flaw in the Empire's monitoring system, a minor gap in their surveillance that no alien seemed to notice. She pointed it out to Elena and Raj, and they realized immediately the significance. Humans could move, observe, and perhaps even act without immediate detection. This small discovery sparked hope and renewed determination. While the aliens assumed superiority, the humans began to see opportunities. Every observation became a lesson, every subtle flaw, a chance to gain advantage. They watched how the Empire coordinated fleets, managed resources, and communicated, storing the knowledge carefully for later use. Suspense built as humans realized they were walking in enemy territory, yet alive and learning. Raj whispered to Elena, "Every step here is dangerous. But knowledge is power. If we understand them, we might survive, and more than survive. Elena nodded, feeling a rare surge of pride. They were humans, small but clever, and they were beginning to learn the rules of the Empire. In one section of the core sector, they saw massive engines powering ships far larger than the horizon, energy flowing through conduits like rivers of light. Carla could not resist experimenting subtly with a portable interface, just enough to understand basic operations without alerting the aliens. Every adjustment, every observation, gave humans a mental map of the Empire's systems. Suspense grew as an alarm suddenly blared, signaling that one of the patrol monitoring systems had detected something irregular. The humans froze, hearts pounding, but the aliens only investigated and quickly dismissed it, unaware of the small advantage humans had gained. Elena realized that humans had begun their first real test inside the Empire, to survive, learn, and find weaknesses without being caught. Hours passed, each moment a mix of fear, excitement, and discovery. Humans were observing everything: the hierarchy, the technology, the way aliens reacted to situations. They began to understand that the Empire relied not only on power but on precision and predictability, and that unpredictability, creativity, and adaptability could be human weapons. The Horizon crew also noted the alien culture: strict, disciplined, hierarchical, yet not infallible. Small errors, overlooked by alien confidence, could be exploited. This knowledge sparked a plan in Elena's mind. If humans were clever, they could use the Empire's own systems against it, perhaps even turning the aliens' strength into a weakness. Meanwhile, the aliens continued to test them, subtle challenges in logic, movement, and decision-making, watching reactions closely. Each test, no matter how small, gave humans a chance to prove their ingenuity. Suspense built with every passing hour. The humans were learning, but one wrong move could be deadly. Yet amidst the tension, a sense of pride grew. They were humans, facing beings far beyond their comprehension, and they were adapting. They were learning, surviving, and thinking beyond the limits the aliens expected. The Horizon floated within the Empire ship, a tiny vessel in a vast machine, yet carrying minds that could change the balance of power if used cleverly. Elena addressed her crew quietly: "This is our world now, for a short while. We observe, we learn, and we prepare. The Empire is strong, but humans have something they do not expect: imagination, creativity, and courage. That is our advantage." As the human crew moved deeper into the ship, every corridor, every observation, every subtle interaction built their understanding. The first contact had ended, but the real challenge had begun. Humans were inside the heart of the Empire, surrounded by beings who underestimated them, yet every moment brought insight. Every small action could be a seed of future advantage. The stars outside were invisible from these corridors, yet the human crew could feel the vastness of the galaxy pressing in. They were small, yes, but cleverness and courage were powerful. As the Horizon's crew continued to explore, observe, and adapt, a quiet determination settled over them. Humans would survive, humans would learn, and one day, humans would show the galaxy that even a tiny species from a small blue planet could make a difference in an empire that believed itself untouchable. The Horizon crew had spent days inside the Empire ship, learning, observing, and carefully noting every detail. Captain Elena Ward gathered her team in the small command room, her eyes scanning each of them. "We cannot stay passive," she said quietly. "We have a chance to do something, even if it is small. We need to test what humans are capable of, without them knowing." Lieutenant Raj Patel nodded, fingers tapping nervously on the console. Engineer Carla Reyes smiled faintly, already thinking of ways to use her knowledge of the alien systems. The plan was simple but risky: exploit a minor flaw in the Empire's communication network that Carla had discovered, allowing them to send limited signals and gather intelligence without detection. It was a first move, a small step to show that humans were clever, even in a galaxy far stronger than their own. The crew worked quickly, checking systems, timing signals, and ensuring nothing would alert the aliens. Suspense filled the Horizon as they prepared to act, hearts pounding in synchronization with the faint hum of the ship around them. When they finally sent the first subtle signal, a wave of nervous anticipation filled the room. They watched the Empire monitors closely, expecting detection, alarms, or retaliation, but nothing happened. The humans had succeeded. It was a small victory, but it meant that even within the heart of the Empire, humans could influence events without being noticed. Encouraged, they began observing alien fleets in real time, tracking movements, and sending intelligence back to their ship's main systems. Every detail they gathered could be useful later, perhaps even for escape, perhaps for something more daring. The lead alien noticed small anomalies, subtle shifts in communication patterns, but dismissed them at first, attributing them to random system glitches. This underestimation became humans' advantage. Carla smiled quietly as she manipulated small energy flows to maintain their cover, while subtly adjusting readings to make it harder for aliens to track their movements. Elena saw the larger opportunity forming. The Horizon could use cleverness to disrupt small operations, create confusion, and learn more about the Empire's inner workings, all without alerting the alien leaders. Suspense grew as the crew realized the potential but also the risk. One misstep, one moment of carelessness, could be fatal. Yet the crew felt exhilaration as well as fear. They were humans, small and fragile compared to the Empire, yet capable of acts of ingenuity the aliens could not predict. Raj pointed out a patrol fleet on the monitors, moving in a standard formation that humans quickly mapped. Using their subtle interference, they managed to temporarily redirect one small patrol without detection. The aliens were confused, unsure what had caused the anomaly, but they did not suspect human intervention. The Horizon crew exchanged silent glances, the weight of the achievement sinking in. It was the first tangible proof that humans could act in a galaxy dominated by beings far stronger than themselves. Encouraged, Elena decided to take another step. Using the small gap in the Empire's surveillance, they began recording more detailed data about ship movements, resource flows, and communication patterns. They were not merely surviving, they were preparing for future actions, learning to turn knowledge into power. Suspense built further when one alien officer approached them, scanning their section of the ship. The crew froze, heartbeats loud in their ears, but the officer moved on, unaware of the subtle manipulations humans had already executed. Each moment of success reinforced a dangerous confidence, yet Elena reminded them to remain cautious. Humans could not act recklessly, they had to blend courage with careful planning. The Horizon crew realized that the first move was not about confrontation but about understanding and preparation. Every small success taught them more about the Empire's strengths and weaknesses, and about the limits of their own fears. The aliens remained unaware that the humans had begun to quietly influence events within their own systems. The crew watched fleets, studied tactics, and noted behaviors. Every detail became a potential advantage for the future. Then came the moment when their first small disruption accidentally caused a patrol fleet to hesitate in its formation. For an instant, the Empire ships paused, unsure what had occurred. The humans held their breath, fearing immediate retaliation, but the aliens quickly corrected the anomaly, unaware that humans had caused it. That small moment became a thrill, proof that even in the heart of the Empire, clever humans could make a difference. Elena addressed her crew quietly, pride and tension in her voice. This is what humans do best. We adapt. We observe. We learn. We act in ways the stronger cannot predict. Today, this is our first move. Tomorrow, who knows? Suspense hung in the air as the Horizon floated silently, surrounded by alien ships, yet the humans felt a sense of quiet triumph. Their small actions had made a difference, and they knew the Empire underestimated them. Even a tiny species from a distant planet could influence events in ways the greatest powers never expected. The crew spent hours refining their techniques, improving subtle signals, adjusting systems, and observing reactions. Every day brought new discoveries, new ways to interact with the Empire without revealing their true capabilities. Then came a new challenge. An alien monitoring system detected a minor irregularity. Alarms flared, lights flashed, and the crew felt the familiar surge of tension. They held their positions, acting calm and compliant, knowing that any hint of panic could reveal their interference. The aliens investigated, but thanks to careful preparation, they found nothing to suspect. The humans breathed quietly, relief mixed with renewed determination. The first move had been successful, and the possibilities expanded. From that moment, the Horizon crew realized the true power of human ingenuity. Small, calculated actions, clever thinking, and courage could influence even the most overwhelming of empires. They had made their first mark, invisible yet impactful, and in doing so, had begun to redefine what humans were capable of in a galaxy far beyond their own. Elena smiled faintly as she watched her crew work, a sense of pride swelling in her chest. Humans were clever, unpredictable, and resilient, and even in the shadow of an empire, they could change events in ways no alien expected. The Horizon drifted onward, carrying its crew through alien corridors, through observation chambers, and past fleets of warships, all the while humans quietly learning, subtly influencing, and preparing for the next move. The suspense never left, the danger was constant, but so was the exhilaration. They were humans inside an empire, and humans had just taken their first move. The Horizon floated silently, a small human ship amidst the vastness of the Empire's fleet, yet inside the crew's minds, a storm of plans and calculations raged. Captain Elena Ward gathered her team once more, her voice low but firm. "We cannot remain observers forever." The first move was successful, but now we must consider an escape, she said, eyes scanning each crew member for understanding and resolve. Lieutenant Raj Patel nodded, already calculating possible routes through the Empire's patrols, while engineer Carla Reyes reviewed the ship systems, searching for weaknesses and opportunities. The plan was risky. The Horizon would attempt a stealth jump through an untested corridor, using knowledge they had gathered to avoid detection and evade the alien fleet. Suspense filled the cabin, hearts racing as alarms and sensors flickered, reminding them that the Empire's reach was immense. Elena gave the order to prepare for departure, and the crew moved quickly, checking engines, shields, and navigation arrays. Every movement had to be precise. A single error could expose them and mean immediate destruction. As the Horizon inched toward the corridor, they observed the Empire ships, noting the patrol patterns and timing their approach with patience and cunning. The first step was subtle: adjust the ship's energy signature to mimic ambient cosmic noise, making sensors more likely to overlook them. Raj worked with steady hands, manipulating systems in ways the Empire would not expect, a mix of human improvisation and technical skill. Carla monitored the engines, pushing the warp drive to levels the Empire would not have imagined humans capable of handling. The tension in the cabin was thick, every second felt like a minute, every minor movement carrying life or death consequences. Then, just as the Horizon began to slip into the untested corridor, an alarm blared. One of the Empire patrols had detected a small anomaly, and red lights flashed across the control panels. Elena's heart skipped a beat, but she remained calm, voice steady as she commanded the crew. "Proceed. Trust your calculations. We can still make it." The crew obeyed, hands flying across consoles, executing maneuvers that combined knowledge, ingenuity, and instinct. The Horizon shuddered as engines pushed them forward, energy flares escaping in controlled bursts to confuse tracking systems. Outside, the Empire ships accelerated, their massive forms shifting, trying to intercept the small human vessel, but the Horizon moved unpredictably, weaving between patrols in patterns the aliens did not anticipate. Suspense reached its peak as they entered a region of dense asteroid fields, navigation becoming more difficult, shields straining against debris. Carla guided the ship carefully, calculating angles and speeds that kept them safe while maintaining the appearance of a normal drift. Raj monitored alien movements, relaying positions and adjusting the plan in real time, each correction a matter of life or death. The aliens were relentless, their fleet vast, their ships designed to crush any human vessel, yet the Horizon's clever maneuvers allowed them to slip past, small bursts of speed timed perfectly, small diversions and misdirections confusing their pursuers. Elena felt a mixture of fear and exhilaration as they approached the exit of the corridor, the path to open space, freedom, and uncertainty. But then, another challenge. The warp drive began to destabilize under the strain of repeated jumps and evasive maneuvers. Energy readings spiked dangerously, and the crew realized that if the drive failed now, they would be trapped, vulnerable to immediate destruction. Elena did not hesitate. "Carla, stabilize the drive. Raj, keep our course steady. We are not stopping now." The engineer worked frantically, adjusting energy flows, rerouting power, and using every bit of knowledge gained from previous observation of the Empire's systems. Sparks flew in the engineering bay as circuits overloaded, yet Carla persisted, sweat on her forehead, determination in her eyes. Raj's hands flew across navigation controls, keeping the horizon on its precarious path. Outside, alien patrols closed in, massive ships bristling with weapons, yet the horizon's unpredictability kept them guessing. A tense silence filled the cabin, broken only by alarms and the hum of engines straining under stress. Then, with a final surge of energy, the warp drive stabilized enough to engage the jump. Elena pressed the activation panel, and the ship shivered, space bending around them as they left the corridor. For a moment, time seemed suspended, stars stretching into long streaks before disappearing. When the light faded, the horizon was in uncharted space, surrounded by nebulae and distant stars, free from immediate pursuit but far from safe. The crew exhaled, a mixture of relief, exhaustion, and triumph washing over them. They had escaped, not through strength, but through cleverness, observation, and careful planning. Suspense remained, knowing the Empire would eventually detect the anomaly, track them, and retaliate. Yet for now, humans had proven that even in the heart of an empire, a small species could act decisively and survive. Elena gathered the crew, voice firm but proud. "We did it. This is only the beginning. We have survived our first escape. Remember this feeling: courage, ingenuity, teamwork. It is what makes us human." Raj nodded, a smile breaking through his tension. Carla wiped sweat from her brow, feeling the exhilaration of success and the knowledge that their careful planning had paid off. The horizon drifted through uncharted space, crew weary but energized by their achievement. They had learned, acted, and survived against a far stronger power. Suspense lingered like a shadow, the galaxy vast and unpredictable, yet humans had proven they could make the first move, even an escape, count. The adventure was far from over. The stars outside the windows seemed brighter, more alive, as if acknowledging the small human victory in a galaxy ruled by an empire that underestimated them. Each crew member felt the weight of possibility. They could learn more, act more cleverly, and perhaps one day influence the fate of the empire itself. The horizon floated on, its small engines cutting through the darkness, carrying humans who had faced near impossible odds and survived. Their escape attempt was more than survival. It was the first step in a journey that could change the galaxy. Suspense and danger remained, but so did hope, determination, and the unmistakable truth that humans were clever, adaptable, and unpredictable. And as the crew looked out at the endless stars, they knew that no matter the challenge ahead, they had taken the first bold step in a story that would shake the galaxy. The horizon drifted through uncharted space, engines still warm from their narrow escape, the crew tense but alert as they scanned the vast darkness around them. Captain Elena Ward stood at the command console, eyes fixed on the strange readings emerging from nearby sensors. "Something is out there," she said quietly, voice tight with both excitement and apprehension. Lieutenant Raj Patel adjusted the sensors, his fingers moving quickly over the console as data streamed in. The readings were unlike anything human technology had ever recorded: energy fluctuations, massive structures, and signals that seemed alive. Engineer Carla Reyes leaned forward, studying the patterns with a mix of disbelief and fascination. "These aren't natural formations," she whispered. "They're structures. Someone built them." The horizon moved closer to the source, the ship's small silhouette dwarfed by the enormity of what lay ahead. As they approached, the nebula parted to reveal an ancient alien installation, colossal in size, orbiting a dark star. Towering spires of metal, crystal-like towers, and strange machinery covered the surface, glowing faintly with a light that seemed to pulse in rhythm with an unknown energy. Elena's breath caught. This was no ordinary discovery. It was a civilization that had existed long before humans, perhaps even before the Empire itself. Suspense filled the cabin as the crew realized the potential and the danger. Whatever had built this installation was advanced far beyond even the Empire. Raj activated the long-range scanners, mapping the structures and the strange energy flows, but every reading raised more questions than answers. The installation seemed abandoned, yet subtle signs indicated it was being monitored. Tiny drones moved along invisible paths, sensors traced invisible lines of energy, and signals hummed across frequencies that made the crew uneasy. Carla's eyes widened. It's like someone, or something, is watching us. They know we're here. Elena nodded, understanding the gravity of the moment. They were explorers, humans in the presence of a civilization far older and possibly far wiser than themselves, yet no one had ever prepared them for this. The decision had to be made carefully: approach, investigate, or retreat. Suspense hung thick in the air, hearts beating in sync with the pulsing energy outside. Elena gave the order to approach cautiously, shields up, engines silent, hoping to remain undetected. The horizon moved closer, passing massive gates and structures that seemed to defy physics, bending light and gravity around them. Every step revealed new marvels: massive rotating rings, energy conduits linking towers, and structures that seemed to float without support. Suddenly, a transmission reached the horizon, not through the normal channels, but as a direct mental impression, faint yet undeniable. The voice was alien, neither hostile nor friendly, simply curious. "You have entered a place forgotten by time," the message seemed to say in translation. "Your kind is small, yet you survive. What do you seek?" The crew froze, unsure how to respond. Elena pressed a button to record the signal, knowing that this encounter might be the key to understanding the universe in ways humans could barely imagine. As they explored further, the horizon sensors picked up an energy core at the center of the installation, a massive source of power that radiated throughout the structures. Carla's mind raced, imagining the possibilities: energy for weapons, faster than light travel, shields stronger than any humans had seen, technology beyond comprehension. Suspense rose as Elena considered the risks. Attempting to access it could alert the unknown watchers, yet ignoring it meant leaving potential advantage untapped. Raj suggested scanning for weak points, small ways to interact with the installation without triggering defenses. The crew began careful analysis, each observation increasing both their excitement and their fear. Then a sudden movement startled them. One of the floating structures shifted, revealing hidden machinery that extended toward the horizon. Sensors blared, indicating a scanning procedure, yet no weapon activated. It was as if the installation itself was testing them, probing their intentions. Elena realized that this discovery was more than just ancient technology. It was alive in some sense, an entity designed to interact, evaluate, and perhaps judge intruders. Suspense thickened as the crew debated their next steps. Carla suggested cautious interfacing with the installation's core systems, while Raj warned that any misstep could alert unknown forces with unimaginable power. Elena weighed the options carefully. "We survive because we think, we adapt, and we act with purpose," she said, her voice steady. "We proceed, but with caution. Every move matters." Slowly, the horizon engaged a minor interface, a small probe extending toward the energy core. Data streamed in immediately, patterns of energy, computational flows, and structures far beyond human understanding. The crew's minds raced to comprehend it all, yet each new revelation carried both knowledge and danger. Suspense escalated as subtle alarms within the installation began to flash. Tiny, almost imperceptible signals, but enough to indicate that the system was aware of their presence. Elena's hand hovered over the controls, ready to retract the probe at the first sign of danger. Raj continued to map the signals, eyes wide with the thrill of discovery. Carla worked on stabilizing the interface, ensuring the horizon remained unaffected. Minutes stretched, heavy with tension, until the first significant breakthrough appeared. The energy core contained schematics for technology capable of amplifying human capability, energy distribution far beyond anything the horizon could generate. The possibilities were staggering. Humans could gain intelligence, power, and tools that might allow them to challenge even the Empire itself. Yet, just as hope surged, a subtle pulse ran through the installation, a warning or perhaps a test, and the horizon shuddered slightly. Elena knew this was a critical moment. The installation had noticed their interference, and the unknown watchers were assessing their intentions. Suspense reached its peak. The crew worked in perfect unison, balancing curiosity with caution, daring with discipline. They had discovered something extraordinary, something that could change the course of human history, yet one mistake could erase their lives in an instant. Hours passed as the Horizon analyzed, interfaced, and collected data, slowly building an understanding of the ancient technology. Every reading added to suspense, revealing glimpses of a power older than the Empire, more precise than anything humans had imagined, yet not fully hostile. Finally, Elena addressed her crew, voice low but firm. "We have seen something incredible. This discovery changes everything. But we must remember, we are humans, small and clever. We survive not because we are strong, but because we are smart. We take what we can, learn, and leave safely. That is our priority." The Horizon drifted away from the installation, hearts pounding, minds racing, the unknown watchers observing silently, leaving humans with a treasure of knowledge and a growing understanding that the galaxy held secrets far older and far more powerful than any empire could control. Suspense remained, danger was constant, yet the crew felt exhilaration. They had discovered something extraordinary, a shock that reminded them of humanity's potential. The Horizon floated silently through the void, carrying its human crew on a path filled with danger, discovery, and opportunity. Captain Elena Ward leaned over the main console, eyes scanning the vast readouts from the recent encounter with the ancient installation. "We've learned much," she said quietly, voice steady, "but knowledge alone is not enough. Now, it is time to act." Lieutenant Raj Patel nodded, fingers moving quickly over the navigation panels as he considered ways to manipulate the Empire's patrols using the intelligence they had gathered. Engineer Carla Reyes focused on the systems, ensuring that the Horizon could move unpredictably and exploit weaknesses the aliens had not noticed. The crew had survived their first escape, explored an ancient installation, and learned secrets that could give humans an edge, yet the Empire still loomed large, unaware that the smallest species could begin to influence events. Elena outlined a plan: subtle disruptions to Empire patrols and supply lines, actions small enough to avoid detection, yet enough to cause confusion and frustration among the alien fleet. Suspense hung thick in the cabin as the crew prepared for their first offensive maneuvers, hearts pounding with tension and excitement. Using the gaps in the Empire's monitoring systems, Raj plotted routes that allowed the Horizon to interfere with patrol signals, rerouting ships temporarily and causing delays without leaving a trace. Carla implemented adjustments to the energy signatures, making the Horizon appear as natural cosmic interference, so that the aliens would believe the anomalies were random, not human intervention. The first small success came quickly. A patrol fleet paused unexpectedly, their formation disrupted for precious minutes. Elena's eyes sparkled with satisfaction. "This is the beginning," she said. "We are small, yes, but clever. The Empire underestimates us, and we will use that." The Horizon continued to weave through fleets and communication lines, each maneuver carefully calculated to create minor chaos without drawing attention to their presence. The suspense was palpable. One mistake could result in immediate destruction, yet the crew's careful planning allowed them to turn each moment into an advantage. Outside the windows, massive alien ships shifted in response to the anomalies, bristling with weapons, yet unable to trace the subtle human manipulations. Raj grinned quietly. "They think it's a system error," he whispered. "They have no idea it's us." Carla worked furiously, rerouting power, adjusting sensors, and preparing the Horizon for sudden jumps if necessary. The crew realized that by acting unpredictably, they could begin to level the playing field, even against a technologically superior empire. Hours passed as humans turned the tables in small, precise ways. Patrols delayed, communications scrambled, and supply lines briefly disrupted, all without exposing their presence. Suspense rose with every movement, every calculation, every subtle interference. Elena considered the larger implications. Humans were no longer mere observers. They were active participants in the galaxy, capable of shaping events through intellect, cunning, and adaptability. A sudden alert flashed across the Horizon sensors. An Empire fleet had detected an irregularity, a brief anomaly, and was investigating. The crew froze, hearts hammering, ready to react at the first sign of danger. The aliens scanned, adjusted, and corrected, unaware that humans were behind the disruption. Relief washed over the cabin, mixed with exhilaration. The first offensive move had worked, and humans had done it with ingenuity, not brute force. Elena spoke softly but firmly, "Remember this feeling. We are small, yes, but we are unpredictable, clever, and determined. That is how humans survive, and that is how we turn the tables." Raj continued monitoring, noticing patterns in the alien response. Each small action humans took created subtle effects in the Empire's operations, delays that could accumulate into real advantages in the future. Carla smiled as she observed energy flows she had subtly manipulated, proof that humans could operate in enemy territory without detection. The Horizon moved deeper into Empire space, exploiting knowledge gathered from previous encounters, using minor interferences to shift patrols, confuse communications, and gain critical intelligence. Suspense never left, danger was constant, yet excitement and pride grew. Humans were learning how to act, survive, and influence a galaxy far beyond their home. Then came the most daring move so far, a diversion designed to draw several patrols away from a sector while the Horizon passed through a critical corridor. The plan was precise, risky, and required perfect coordination. Elena gave the order, and the crew executed flawlessly, weaving through enemy lines, hearts racing as alarms blared faintly in their wake. The aliens were puzzled, frustrated, yet unaware of the human hand behind the anomalies. The first real offensive act of humanity in the Empire had succeeded. Suspense remained, for the Empire would eventually respond, but the humans now knew something powerful. Even a small species could influence events through cleverness, timing, and ingenuity. Elena addressed the crew, pride in her voice. "We have turned the tables. The Empire did not see us coming, and that is our greatest strength. Remember this. We are humans. We survive by thinking, adapting, and daring. Today, we have proven it." The Horizon drifted onward, a tiny ship in an enormous galaxy, yet carrying humans who had begun to act, influence, and survive in ways the Empire never anticipated. Outside, the stars glimmered like witnesses to the audacity of the human spirit. The crew knew the danger was far from over. Suspense, tension, and challenges awaited them, but for the first time, humans felt a sense of control, a small but undeniable power to shape events. They were no longer passive players in the Empire's vast game, they were participants, clever, adaptable, and capable of action. And as the Horizon continued its journey, slipping through patrols, rerouting signals, and observing the reactions of a galaxy unprepared for them, the humans realized a truth that would guide every move ahead. Size and strength are not always decisive, but cleverness, courage, and unity can turn even the smallest species into a force the galaxy cannot ignore. With every minor disruption, every careful maneuver, and every calculated risk, the Horizon's crew became a legend in the making, showing that humans could not only survive but begin to challenge the expectations of an empire that believed itself untouchable. Suspense and danger remained, but so did hope, pride, and the thrill of turning the tables, proving that even the smallest spark of human ingenuity could shake the galaxy in ways the Empire had never imagined. The Horizon drifted silently through deep space, its crew alert and focused as they prepared for an encounter that could decide the fate of their mission. Captain Elena Ward stood at the command console, her eyes scanning the approaching signals. "The Council of Stars is ahead," she said, her voice calm but carrying tension. Lieutenant Raj Patel adjusted sensors, his fingers flying across panels as he monitored communications and fleet movements. Engineer Carla Reyes checked the warp systems, ensuring they could maneuver quickly if needed. The Council of Stars was the governing body of the Empire, a group of powerful beings whose decisions shaped the fate of thousands of worlds and countless species. Humans had never imagined they would come so close to the leaders of an empire, yet here they were, small and vulnerable, yet clever, determined, and full of audacity. Suspense filled the Horizon as they approached the Council's location, a massive station orbiting a dying star, its structure elegant and intimidating, towers spiraling into space, energy streams connecting vast chambers of the station. Elena felt the weight of history and power pressing down on them. The Council's chamber was enormous, walls lined with glowing panels, holographic displays, and floating energy orbs, and in its center sat the Council itself, tall, imposing, and radiating authority. Each member seemed to look in every direction at once, and Elena realized instantly that the humans were being observed not just with technology but with a presence that seemed to sense thought, intention, and potential. As the horizon docked, airlocks opened, and the crew entered the chamber, their every movement measured and careful. The council's voices echoed, deep and resonant, translated into words humans could understand. You are far from home, small species. Why do you enter spaces where even the Empire fears trespassers? Elena stepped forward, voice steady, holding her composure despite the tension. We are explorers. Our intent is peaceful. We wish only to understand, to learn, and to survive. A pause followed, the council deliberating, their silence heavier than any sound. Then one of the members spoke, eyes glowing faintly. Your species survives despite weakness. That is unusual. Most primitive beings would have perished long ago. The crew exchanged subtle glances, understanding that even acknowledgement from the council was both a warning and a rare respect. Raj whispered to Elena, they are testing us, observing not just what we say but how we react. Every moment is critical. Elena nodded, realizing the first impression might determine the crew's survival. Suspense mounted as the council continued their questions, probing humans' knowledge, resilience, and ability to adapt. Carla answered technical questions with clarity, showing ingenuity without arrogance. Raj responded to tactical queries, demonstrating reasoning and clever thinking. Elena led, combining humility and courage, revealing enough to satisfy curiosity without revealing weaknesses. The council observed in silence, movements subtle yet intense, and Elena sensed that humans were being measured against standards far beyond their understanding. Hours passed as the crew navigated this delicate interaction. Every gesture, word, and decision carried weight. Humans realized the power of intellect and cleverness in situations far beyond physical strength. Suspense remained constant. One error could be fatal, one misstep could end their mission, or their lives. Then the council spoke again, their tone colder but tinged with intrigue. You are unpredictable. You survive where others would fail. That is your strength. Yet your kind is fragile. Show us why you should not be removed from these sectors. Elena realized the challenge. They had to demonstrate human ingenuity, courage, and adaptability in real time, under observation by beings far stronger, smarter, and ancient. The crew worked together seamlessly, presenting small but powerful demonstrations of problem-solving, quick thinking, and resourcefulness. They rerouted power to stabilize a failing system, corrected errors in navigation simulations, and displayed an instinctive ability to improvise when faced with unfamiliar technology. The council watched closely, and for the first time, humans sensed approval, faint yet unmistakable. Suspense heightened as the Horizon crew continued, knowing that failure was impossible, yet understanding that perfection was not required, only cleverness, adaptability, and courage. Elena's mind raced with strategy, considering every answer, every move, every subtle display of human capability. Hours became moments, moments became tests, and the crew realized that the council valued not strength, not weapons, but intelligence, creativity, and resilience, the very traits humans had relied on since entering the Empire. Then a moment of revelation occurred. One council member leaned forward, eyes glowing brighter, voice resonant. Your species is unlike any we have encountered. Small, fragile, yet resourceful. We see potential where others see weakness. Perhaps you are more than simple beings. Perhaps your kind may endure. Relief and pride swept through the crew, tempered by caution. Suspense remained, for the council's decision was far from final, yet humans understood they had gained a rare foothold, a chance to influence, to learn, and to survive. Elena addressed the council, voice steady and respectful. We are grateful for your observation. We are small, yes, but we survive through thought, courage, and adaptability. That is the essence of humanity. The council regarded them silently, then motioned toward the exit. Return to your vessel. You may continue your journey. But know this, the galaxy is vast, the Empire watches, and your survival depends on the qualities you have demonstrated today. The Horizon crew exhaled quietly, the tension slowly easing as they returned to their ship. Suspense lingered, for they knew the Empire's gaze would follow them, yet exhilaration filled the cabin. Humans had faced the Council of Stars, survived their scrutiny, and proven that cleverness, courage, and adaptability could allow even the smallest species to endure in a galaxy dominated by giants. Elena looked at her crew, pride and determination shining in her eyes. "We have survived the ultimate test, but this is only the beginning. Remember what we are capable of, and how we thrive not by strength, but by intelligence and daring. Humanity has shown it belongs here." The horizon floated away from the station, stars stretching into the distance, carrying humans who had faced the highest powers of the Empire and emerged intact. Suspense remained, danger lurked, yet hope, ingenuity, and courage had become humans' greatest weapons. And as the ship continued its journey, every crew member understood a fundamental truth. Even in the shadow of the greatest empire, humans could survive, adapt, and turn challenges into opportunity, proving that cleverness, courage, and heart could change the galaxy. The horizon floated silently through the dark expanse of space, its crew tense but focused, hearts pounding with the knowledge that their next actions could change the balance of power in the galaxy. Captain Elena Ward leaned over the main console, scanning the intelligence they had gathered from previous encounters with the Empire, ancient installations, and the Council of Stars. "We've learned enough," she said quietly, voice firm. "It's time humanity shows what we can do. Not with brute force, but with strategy, cunning, and intelligence." Lieutenant Raj Patel adjusted the ship sensors, fingers flying across panels as he plotted courses, analyzed patrols, and calculated the perfect timing for a series of coordinated strikes against the Empire's supply lines and communication hubs. Engineer Carla Reyes worked on the horizon systems, pushing engines to near their limits, optimizing energy flows, and ensuring the ship could act unpredictably while maintaining full control. Suspense filled the cabin as the crew prepared for their most daring operations yet. Their plan was simple in concept but complex in execution. Small, precise strikes designed to confuse the Empire, disrupt their fleets, and send a clear message that humans, though small and underestimated, could act decisively and with intelligence. The first move involved the manipulation of energy conduits in a patrol sector, creating a minor malfunction that delayed fleets and disrupted communications without revealing human interference. Raj monitored the effects in real time, eyes wide as the Empire scrambled to respond, their confusion evident even through distant sensors. Elena watched, calm and composed, knowing that each subtle disruption was a victory of strategy over raw power. Then came the second strike. Using intelligence gathered from the ancient installation, Carla rerouted energy to the horizon systems in a way that allowed them to briefly appear as multiple signals, creating phantom ships that forced the Empire to misallocate resources. Suspense rose as the crew executed the plan perfectly, the enemy fleet shifting, responding, and ultimately being manipulated without any direct confrontation. Elena smiled faintly, realizing the power of human ingenuity. The crew had learned to act not as a single small ship, but as a clever force that could bend circumstances to their favor. Each strike, each calculated disruption, demonstrated that humans were unpredictable, resourceful, and capable of thinking beyond the limitations the Empire assumed. Hours passed as the horizon carried out further operations, targeting supply lines, communications arrays, and patrol patterns. Every action was precise, calculated, and designed to maximize confusion while minimizing risk. The Empire began to notice the anomalies, yet could not identify the cause. Suspense thickened with each passing moment, danger ever present, yet exhilaration grew as humans realized their potential. Elena addressed the crew, voice steady and full of determination. "This is how humanity strikes back. Not through numbers or weapons alone, but with intelligence, courage, and adaptability. We are small, yet we make a difference." Raj grinned as another patrol fleet miscalculated its course, disrupted by the horizon's clever maneuvers. Carla monitored energy signatures, adjusting them subtly to avoid detection while amplifying the effects of their actions. The crew realized that humans could influence entire sectors of the Empire without direct combat, a revelation that filled them with both pride and suspense. Then came the most daring maneuver. The horizon used its knowledge of the Empire's logistics to create a chain reaction, forcing multiple fleets to alter positions, redirect resources, and delay critical operations. The aliens were confused, frustrated, and unable to trace the source. Humans had struck back not with brute force, but with cleverness, and the effect was tangible. Suspense reached its peak as sensors detected the Empire beginning to adapt, yet too late to prevent the disruption. Elena kept the crew focused, reminding them that every action mattered, and that intelligence, creativity, and courage could achieve what strength alone could not. Hours became tense moments of careful planning, precise execution, and constant observation. The Horizon crew understood that their strikes were more than tactical maneuvers, they were a statement. Humanity, though small and underestimated, was capable of shaping events on a galactic scale. Then a critical warning appeared on the console. An Empire fleet had traced one of the signals too closely, moving toward the Horizon's position. The crew held their breath as they prepared for a sudden jump, engines ready, shields at full. Elena commanded, "Execute evasive maneuvers, full warp if necessary. We strike, but we survive." The Horizon shuddered as engines flared, leaving the immediate threat behind while sensors confirmed the Empire was still confused by the previous disruptions. Relief mixed with exhilaration filled the cabin. Humans had struck back and survived, proving that cleverness, observation, and adaptability were formidable weapons. Elena addressed the crew quietly, "We are small, yes, but we are unpredictable. We survive because we think, we adapt, and we act decisively. Today, humanity has struck back, and the galaxy will take notice." The Horizon drifted through star-streaked space, crew exhausted but invigorated by success. Suspense remained, the Empire's retaliation inevitable, yet humans now understood their own power. Strategy, intelligence, and ingenuity could challenge the mightiest forces. Every crew member felt a surge of pride, knowing that they had done what no one expected. Humans were not just survivors. They were actors, participants, and now, instigators. As the Horizon moved onward, navigating past fleets, monitoring signals, and preparing for the next actions, the crew realized a simple truth. Even in a galaxy dominated by an empire, humans could strike back and survive. Suspense and danger persisted, yet courage, cleverness, and unity became their greatest weapons. Elena gazed out at the stars, feeling a deep sense of determination and hope. Humanity had taken the first steps to change the balance of power. They were no longer insignificant. They were unpredictable, adaptable, and capable of acts that could shake the galaxy. The Horizon carried them forward, a small ship with a clever crew, proving that intelligence, daring, and determination could turn even the most desperate situation into an opportunity to strike back and make a difference. The Horizon raced through the darkness of space, the small human ship carrying a crew that had become legends in their own right, clever and bold enough to challenge the Empire in ways no one had ever imagined. Captain Elena Ward stood at the command console, eyes fixed on the display as fleets of Empire ships shifted and responded to the disruptions humans had caused. "This is it," she whispered, voice tight with determination. "The galaxy is about to see what humanity can do." Lieutenant Raj Patel monitored multiple systems at once, rerouting energy, tracking enemy positions, and coordinating subtle maneuvers that would maximize confusion without risking detection. Engineer Carla Reyes pushed the Horizon systems to their limits, ensuring the ship could act unpredictably, evade attacks, and exploit weaknesses they had carefully observed over weeks of daring maneuvers. Suspense filled every corner of the ship as the crew prepared for the decisive action, a coordinated strike designed not to destroy, but to shock, destabilize, and change the balance of power across the Empire's sectors. Using intelligence gathered from patrols, the ancient installation, and subtle Empire weaknesses, humans targeted communication hubs, energy relays, and supply lines, causing confusion and panic. Alarms blared faintly across distant fleets, and the Empire scrambled to respond, yet every action was precisely calculated by the Horizon crew. Elena gave the command to initiate the sequence, and the ship's engines hummed as energy pulses moved through critical sectors, subtly shifting fleets, delaying responses, and forcing the Empire to miscalculate on a massive scale. The first signs of the shockwave were small, but unmistakable. Patrols were off course, communications delayed, and ships reassigned in confusion. Suspense was unbearable as humans observed from the Horizon, hearts racing, knowing the consequences of success and the dangers of failure. Raj adjusted navigation and communication patterns, sending decoy signals and phantom fleets to further mislead the Empire, while Karla monitored energy flows, keeping the Horizon's presence invisible amidst the chaos. The Empire's leaders, including the Council of Stars, began to notice the anomalies, their authority challenged in ways they could not predict. Elena realized that humans had become a force of unpredictability, intelligence, and strategy, shaking the confidence of a power that believed itself untouchable. Hours passed as the Horizon continued its orchestrated maneuvers, each subtle strike magnifying the effects, creating confusion, and forcing the Empire to reveal vulnerabilities it had never shown before. Suspense remained constant, danger lurking with every moment, yet exhilaration and pride filled the cabin. Humans had turned their smallness into strength, their intelligence into power, and their courage into an unstoppable force of change. Then came the pivotal moment. A massive relay hub, controlling fleet coordination in a critical sector, was subtly overloaded by the Horizon's manipulations, causing a chain reaction that delayed multiple fleets and disrupted the Empire's command structure. The shock reverberated across sectors, forcing rapid adjustments and mistakes, and the humans observed with tense satisfaction as the balance of power shifted, if only slightly, in their favor. Elena addressed her crew, voice steady and inspiring. "This is what humans can do. We are not the strongest, but we are clever, adaptable, and courageous. Today, we have created a shock that the galaxy will remember." Raj smiled, hands flying across panels, tracking the effects, while Karla monitored subtle energy feedback, confirming the success of their precise manipulations. The Empire's fleet scrambled, unable to fully comprehend the source of the disruptions. Suspense remained high, yet humans had proven they could act decisively, intelligently, and effectively, even in the heart of a galactic empire. Elena knew the significance of the moment. Humanity had shown that even a small, underestimated species could influence, disrupt, and challenge the established order through cunning, courage, and creativity. The Horizon drifted onward, surrounded by distant stars and nebulae, carrying humans who had struck the first true blow against the Empire, not through destruction, but through intelligence, strategy, and audacity. Every crew member understood the weight of their actions. The galaxy had been shaken, and humanity's place within it had been cemented. Suspense and danger would remain, the Empire would retaliate, yet humans had proved that cleverness, adaptability, and courage could overcome the seemingly impossible. Elena looked out at the endless expanse of stars, feeling both pride and determination. "We have changed the rules," she whispered. "The galaxy will never forget the shock humanity has delivered." The Horizon continued its journey, small yet mighty in the impact it had created, carrying crew members who had dared, acted, and succeeded where no one expected. The shockwave of human ingenuity spread through the Empire, disrupting fleets, shaking confidence, and proving that even the smallest species could create the largest impact. Suspense, tension, and anticipation filled every moment, yet the Horizon's crew knew the truth. Humans had struck back, changed the course of events, and left a mark on the galaxy that could not be ignored. Their courage, intelligence, and daring had created a galactic shock that would resonate for generations, proving that humanity was not just a small species from a distant planet, but a clever, adaptable force capable of shaping the destiny of the stars themselves. The Horizon floated onward, silent yet victorious, carrying humans whose first steps in the Empire had led to the greatest shock the galaxy had ever known, a legacy of courage, ingenuity, and the unmistakable power of the human spirit.